So Scrum turns up in the darndest places. I'm an IT professional, but by some weird twist of fate, I've wound up with two different Scrum certifications as a Scrum Master. I'm Scrum Master in Scrum.org and a Scrum Master in Scrum Alliance. In my earlier days, this would be some kind of a badge of shame, but I've learned a lot since my earlier days. I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. And Scrum is valuable. Scrum is a pretty interesting way to work. But Scrum turns up in the darndest of places. One of the positive aspects about Scrum now is that it's readily accessible. A lot of people know about it, but it's also one of the things that makes it difficult to do because everybody thinks they know what Scrum is. Few people ever stop to ask if they really understand it. And one of the challenges I've found in implementing it is getting everybody on the same page about what it actually means. Always a good place to start with questions, right? Make sure that you have the same understanding. So I'm reading this collection on Stoicism right now. Or more technically, listening to it on Audible. I've got a friend of mine that poo-poos the notion that Audible is useful. Well, right now I'm in the part of this book where it's talking about the writings of Seneca. There's this interesting part where Seneca launches into this discussion around the engrossed man. In this particular part of Seneca's writings, he's talking about time and how it's broken up into the past, the present, and the future. And he seems to be making the point of the past being much more important from the perspective of the past is set, it can't be tampered with, and it's always accruing, it's always growing larger. So he says this, the past is like this, it's like treasures that are building up. The present is just, it flows through, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, and there's nothing you can do to speed it up or slow it down. And then, of course, the future, well, the future's not set. The future's constantly changing, but the past is set. So the thing that kind of stuck out to me in Seneca's writings is that the engrossed person fears the past. And I guess they fear the past because of what that stack of stuff would reveal about who they are. So what does that have to do with Scrum? Well, it got me thinking about the retrospectives. Sprint retrospectives are the first thing that we stop doing in Scrum. If we have to stop doing one of the ceremonies, it's the retrospective. And it's also been shown, data shows that it is the most important for the high-performing team. You can still be a high-performing team without doing retrospectives, but the teams that do it tend to be high-performing. At least the teams that do it well. If you get into the sprint retrospective and you're not really digging the retrospective, like I said, it's hard to do correctly because it requires honesty. It requires you to look at what you're trying to manifest. It requires you to be clear about what you're trying to do, and then of course you have to have that critical eye and that bravery to look at what you've done over the past couple of sprints and see if you're actually manifesting what you intended, and if you're not, taking accountability for that and finding a way to change it. So Seneca makes the point that if you have a bucket and the bucket has no bottom in it, it doesn't matter how much water you try to put in it, the bucket will never be full. The bucket will never be able to deliver the value it was intended because there is no base. There's nothing to catch the water that you're pouring into it. So that made me start thinking about the times in my life when I've been engrossed, just dominated by what's happening in the current day and not daring to look off in the future, and certainly not looking at what had happened in the past. It was always about getting to the next day, but not getting the eyes up, right? I've been in that situation, and it's no fun. It doesn't allow you to hope, it doesn't allow you to dream, and it doesn't allow you to appreciate. So that's what the retrospective tries to do. It tries to get your eyes up, it tries to get you focused on the horizon, making sure that you're looking back and using what you've done in the past to guide you forward. So for those of you wondering how to do good sprint retrospectives, keep it simple. Get the people into the room, set the groundwork. It's number one, it's a blameless retrospective. What does that mean? It means that it's not a witch hunt. If anything has gone wrong, you're not necessarily looking for somebody to blame or somebody to criticize. It is more about finding what worked, what didn't work, and fixing it. So step one, it's a blameless retrospective. Set that ground rule right out of the gate. The second one is keep it simple. What did we do well? What could we have improved upon? And what are the action items to improve? I've heard it said that even when you have a fantastically successful sprint, you should find something in the retrospective that you're going to change. Call out what you're going to change, what the intent is, what should manifest by that change, and review that in the next retrospective. So if you find yourself in a day-to-day and you're just kind of you're stuck in that process, you're the engrossed person, right? You don't feel like you're necessarily appreciating the past, and you're not anticipating or looking forward to the future. How do you get out of that? Well, I think Seneca would tell you have to put something in the bottom of the bucket. You have to find something on which to build. You have to have something that's going to catch the water that you're pouring into your life. So in Scrum, what would that be? What is the thing you put at the bottom of the bucket? It's the sprint goal. What are you trying to accomplish in this sprint is a good way to hold yourself accountable for what actually manifests. Then you get into your retrospective, you tell everybody this is blameless, we're not going to criticize. Well, that's not necessarily true. You're going to criticize, but it's not a witch hunt. You're not trying to find somebody to blame. You're just trying to find out what went wrong and how to fix it, because you either got to the sprint goal or you didn't. But you didn't just throw a bunch of effort into it and then patted yourself on the back and said, we worked hard this week. You actually got to the goal or you didn't. So there you go. Scrum shows up in the darndest of places. Keep your eye out. You never know when Scrum's going to jump out from around the corner. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, comment. Comments are big right now on YouTube. And keep an eye out. Keep an eye on this channel, because this is life, if I recall correctly.